group, and that's where we're going to be posting different things about transition coaching group and all that kind of stuff with the upcoming training. And the thing is, Grant, if you know anybody that's looking for something, they've got anxiety, depression, they're looking to move business forward and it's not happening, then at least you know where to go. Then you can send them to the Facebook group, or you can send them to one of us.
Yeah, I think a third of the population suffer from anxiety and depression presently. I mean, I think half the kids in high school are on Ativan or whatever.
100%.
It's a whole different world. It's a whole different world now.
You're right. It's getting scarier by the day.
Well, it is, because people have to fall back on something. But I've got my own philosophy and ideas about what's happening, in that regard. Excuse me. So, but everybody else is just it's a sense of powerlessness that's running rampant, and the sense of powerlessness is exactly what it is. I mean, so people don't know what to do because they feel powerless to change their lives, and they get depressed because they can't make changes. And anxiety is but really, I think, from my philosophical viewpoint, it all actually starts, the baseline for it all is fear. In one form or another, there's levels of fear, and then the fear creates powerlessness individually and mass, and then the anxiety, the crazy.
What are they running away from is the question you want to ask.
Exactly, yeah. They're escaping from something, obviously. And we just never had the options when we were younger. Our escape was like go out and play and do something, or mom's going to give you a smack on the side of the head. Those are...
Oh, I remember those. I've dished out a few.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Sure. So, but our morals and our what we were brought up to understand is some pretty base fundamental stuff that the young people are brought up today, based essentially on the disintegration of the family unit as a whole worldwide. So when the family unit disintegrates and people are sitting there playing with their phones and not talking to the children, or fundamentally that's going to cause irreparable damage, which is exactly what's happened over a period of time, of course, from generation. And I think it started back maybe 25, 30 years ago in a bigger way. And we have the result of those young people today, dealing with the frustrations of those.
That's why you're here today. It's not irreparable.
It's not what, sorry?
It's not irreparable.
Oh, okay. Well, it used to be. I'm not really. I've never had anxiety. I've never had panic attacks, so I've never really had I've never been in a position to have to take some sort of action like that. We just had to deal with the situation face value. And we've all done it. And anybody our age, I say our age, I mean young women like yourself even.
That was a quick reboot.
Oh, yes, it was.
Anyone over 30.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've gone, everybody our age, we've gone through those natural things in life. I mean, marriage issues, or the child, anybody's raised children, all those challenges, it strengthens you it's and also, as long as you're not devoid of common sense, you can seem to move through the world okay overall. And fortunately, I think we're in that age group where common sense is actually a valid mode of thinking, unlike political correctness, which is conditioned behavior.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
Back then, Grant, you didn't have the luxury of Dr. Google or all those guides and things. You had to figure life out for yourself, and if you messed up, it was trial and error, and you use that wisdom to move forward The sad thing is we try and teach our kids and offspring to say, okay, listen, guys, I've been through that. I did what you did. This is the results. Yeah. And they go, yeah, I would believe you, but Google tells me that I should be doing this instead. You're thinking, okay, that's a costly mistake, but you can listen to Google. You don't have to listen to family. Yeah. It's fine. You go ahead. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, true. I mean,
people that have gone onto Google to find a symptom, to give a name to something, so they can go, well, I have this condition, or I have this, you know, I've got a name for whatever I want it to be, because if I've got a condition, you know, then...
There was a wonderful thing I heard when this lady said, he went to the doctors with all his complaints. The doctor said, you're suffering from hypochondria. And she said, what, that as well?
That's a good one.
Oh, no.
Some of the questions that came in were, what's the difference between coaching and mentoring? I'm a business coach. Why do I need transition coaching as well? What does that give me that, what I don't already have? As a business coach, where will this take me? How can this advance my NLP? What's the latest trends in coaching? So we've had all these questions that come in. And so that's why, Grant, we were saying this is going to be an open forum, because there's lots of little questions that people aren't quite sure what transition coaching is, and where does it fit in your life, and how can it help any companies. And you might have seen one of the emails that went out about how it can reduce sickness in the workplace, reduce absences in the workplace. Because if someone's got some sort of blockage that they can't get over, and they take time off to deal with it, you in the workplace could learn this skill to become that kind of person or salvation to stop people taking time off. And so part of the whole process this evening was to answer some of those questions, but also, and I'll be upfront with this, it's leading towards a 6-day transitional coaching program, which Debbie's going to be, as the head trainer and coach, she's going to be delivering. But it was going to answer some of the questions as to why would you go on it, what it can bring you, and what life skills you can take forward to use it in other places. So with that in mind, Debbie, some of the questions you've already got written down there, which I forwarded to you, could you part some wisdom with us at this stage?
Right, well, thank you for coming, everybody. Welcome. Transition coaching versus what is coaching, mentoring, what are the differences? So let's start with that. A coach will guide you down to where you want to be. So a personal coach will lead you side by side down a path, guiding you with you to learn what you want to learn, not telling you what to do, but showing you the path for you to follow. And they will walk side by side. A mentor, using past experience, will tell you what to do and let you get on your way. So that's basically the difference between a mentor and a coach. A transition coach, conversely, works slightly different. Sorry, I'm just going to do this so that I can make sure I've got everything you want to know. Transition coaching works in that we do coach people. So we will walk with you side by side, okay? But there's no comparative modality for what we do out there, all right? So I can't actually tell you anything about what it is. I can probably tell you more about what it isn't. But what we do is we lead the client for their change, and we do not ever give them the answers. They get their own answers. We guide them to find their own learnings, their own answers. And because that they come up with their answers, the change sticks. So that's how we can guarantee, hand on heart, that the change you will have with the transition coaching process will stick. It doesn't go away, it's fixed. So when you come out the other side, it's gone, literally. And we work with negative emotions, all right? So in a nutshell, transactional change works below the line of, so it's knowledge, skill, working with behaviors and results. All right. So we can, if you haven't got the skill, we can skill you. If you don't have the knowledge, we can teach you. And that will then set the results that you're going to get based on the behaviors that you give. But if your knowledge and skill is not accurate, not what you want, then the old behaviors come back. Whereas transition and transformation works above the line. which now works with your values and your beliefs and with your identity as a person. So if we change the values and we change your beliefs, that then impacts your identity. And then the knowledge, skill, behavior, and results will be different. So a business coach guides you along business. All right. So where's the business now? Where does the business want to go? What happens if you stuck with a block? So now emotionally you can't move forward, and you will just then, when you stress, you'll regress. You'll just go back to what you were doing before. Okay, so how's that going to help you? And so what we do is we work alongside financial advisors, work alongside business coaches. I'm not a business coach. I don't want to be a business coach. What we want is people that want to work alongside, that want to make transformational change in other people's lives. So in terms of coaching and mentoring, that's where that is. And the transition coach takes NLP to the next level. So there is no, within an NLP process, there is no real methodology for change. Now, there are some other change processes out there, which you can, if you're a person that's really analytical, some of those things don't work the way you want them to work. There are a lot of other modalities out there that people use for change, and in no way do I want to knock anything, because everything has its place. Okay, hypnotherapy, for example, it's all about the hypnotist telling you and suggesting where you should go. They make suggestions. They don't allow you to come up with your own learnings and change those. They're all suggestions. There's loads of them. They're all management skills. They are distraction techniques, and they are coping mechanisms. All right. You learn to cope with it. You learn to distract from it. Go out, and so havening gives you, you sit and cuddle yourself all day. And that's great. That's not a problem. But if you've got a trauma, giving yourself a big hug is not going to actually change the fundamental negative emotions that underpin that problem. So pretty much that's how transition coaching works. And what we're looking to do is create a group of coaches that can go out and actually make a difference to people's lives, giving them their lives back, getting rid of those negative emotions. And it doesn't matter whether it's depression, it doesn't matter whether it's anxiety, it doesn't matter whether it's PTSD. We'll actually get rid of the negative emotions. We don't give you mechanisms to cope with it, to suppress it, to be aware of it, and then not know what you want to do with it. One of the modalities, basically, it's like a rock in the middle of a mountain, and the stream comes down and it goes, oh, there's a rock, let's go around it. The rock stays there. What we want to do is remove the rock so that the stream can free flow. And in a nutshell, that is how we work with transition coaching. We take that rock out so that the stream can flow, and you can then move forward. So your financial blueprint is attached to that, your business, your personal life, everything is attached to that. And if there are emotional blocks that you don't know about, you're going to behave accordingly and not know why you're reacting the way you do. So transition coaching takes all that sort of negative stuff away. So any questions?
You had mentioned the word LP, something LP, but what does that mean? You use acronyms that
Sorry, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't get that.
Right. So NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is made up of a number of modalities, a number of subjects. And within there, you've got things like we were talking rapport, how do you build it, what do you need it for, why is it important, calibration. Everything within our training is transferable skill. So for example, is sickness in the workplace. All right. People are going off sick because of anxiety, because of stress, because of things that in the workplace you can't actually change. And it could be things like we were discussing earlier, divorce. It could be abuse. It could be financial pressures. You don't know how people come to where they are. And if you don't understand the person as a whole, it's not about putting a Band-Aid on, because if you go into shower enough times, the Band-Aid comes off. And we get back to the when you stress, you regress. So what we want to do is maybe get into with an HR company. How does it help them? Because if they understand the mind, body, spirit connection, and they can get to the root cause of the issue that is stopping staff from coming to work, they might just have somebody that they don't get along with, and that's created, it reminds them of something else or someone else. So if they can get to the root cause of what is the problem outside of pills, now you've got a holistic way of helping somebody without a mental health footprint. Because just because you've got these problems doesn't mean that you're mentally ill. It just means we need to address them and get rid of them and learn from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can I make a comment, Debbie?
100%.
You're talking about the rock and the stream. Well, I mean, I think there's lots of people that obviously everybody has their own challenges. I think some of those challenges are conscious, and some people are aware of those challenges. But people have belief systems and mental structures that they're not necessarily aware of, and they don't, unless they do their own personal searching and try to join the dots, so to speak, because a lot of times it isn't face value. And I think there's I've been working with myself for I don't know 100 years or so, and it seems like there's still issues that I thought I kind of resolved, but did I really? I mean, it's those are the questions at hand. So I don't know. It's a broad statement to say you could move the rock, or have the person move the rock. I mean, I think that a lot of people would know I call it resulting consciousness action or reaction, but there's core belief structures that are behind those, and they to do with, for example, your own feeling of how you deserve things in life. Maybe you don't feel you deserve anything in life. And you're not going to necessarily be aware of that. You just go through life not deserving. That's how women need.
You go down the hill like the stream, going around the rocks, because every negative belief you have about yourself was given to you by someone else.
Is what about something else?
Every negative belief that you have about yourself was given to you by someone else. By that I mean, you've picked it up and taken it on board. It's your perspective and your perception of what goes on. So, when you say, and in this forum, I'd rather not go into the specifics, but what I'm going to say to you is, if you pick a memory that you think that you've resolved an issue in, you said, now, I think, I think I've resolved them, but have I actually? So pick an area of your life that maybe there's something you think, well, have I resolved it or haven't I? Can you go into that moment? Can you think of an area where you think I've resolved something, but maybe not?
I mean, I said that as a statement, but just as a general statement, I'm trying to think specifically. I'm trying to think specifically of an area.
That's okay. Is there anything you can think of that you feel that you have resolved that might have been a past issue?
Okay. Poverty consciousness is one that I felt that I had as a young man or young boy, because we were very poor as children. And I felt I've resolved that to a degree by basically.
So that's exactly what I want. So I want you to tell me where inside, when you think of that period of time, okay?
Yeah.
Where do you feel the sort of negative emotions in your body? Where do you feel them? Where do they sit inside your body as an emotion?
Well, don't forget, I just mentioned that I thought I resolved this wrong, but so I don't know where they sit in my body, with my stomach or probably my stomach, midsection probably.
And this is what I'm saying to you. You said you're not too sure if you've resolved them. Straight away, your unconscious is telling you they're not resolved. And if you can feel that in your stomach now, on any level, it's not resolved. And that's okay, because there are ways. This is how transition coaching works. One of the challenges that a lot of people have, you're right, everything is unconscious and it sits in your unconscious. We look at it like the captain and the crew of a ship. So let's look at the Titanic as an example. All right. So the captain, full steam ahead. The captain is your conscious mind, what you do and what you see. All right. So you've got 2 million bits of information coming into your brain every second of the day. All right. your brain can only process 134 bits. All right. So it filters based on your past, how you're going to process the information coming. What is important to you right now based on your past? Okay. So with that information coming in, the prime directive of your unconscious is to keep you physically, mentally, and emotionally safe. So the captain's got the 134 bits. The crew have got the rest. So the crew's going on and it's doing all its thing. Do you have to think about breathing?
No.
No. Do you have to tell your heart to beat?
No.
No. The crew is doing all of that. If the crew says something's not working, it says to the captain, right, here's a problem, and you're going to feel the negative emotions. Now, based on the Titanic, what happens when the captain doesn't listen to the crew?
Boom.
Exactly. And therein is the challenge. And so what happens is, as does old Paddington, he sits there on his suitcase. Some of the socks and the shirts are hanging out, but he's sitting on that case, boy, he's not opening it. At some point, that lock will rust. And when Pandora's box opens, and this is what we are taught to do, and women in particular, mothers and stuff, I know I'm one of them, boys don't cry. This is why there is such a huge problem with depression around men, because boys don't cry. Oh, come on, put your big girl pants on, buck up, you're a boy, and all this kind of stuff. Mm. And so boys are taught that emotions are not actually good, so they suppress them. They go into Pandora's box, never to come out. And that is wrong on every level, because every single one of us as a human being, that's what happens. You go out, something upsets you, you're afraid. We all run those negative emotions. But if you suppress them long enough, then we go back into the root cause, the very first point where that emotion started. This is what a lot of the modalities don't do. So you go into hypnosis, they take you back, but they make the suggestion of what you may want moving forward. But the reason you maybe started smoking is not resolved. So this is where gaming, debt, and all these different things come in. So if you can still pull up that emotion, then what happens is you've not resolved it. And I know this, having worked with quite a number of people, if you don't resolve that, downline, it's going to cause you a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. So I've worked with in excess of collectively 5,000 delegates. Okay. And we've had from the anxiety, depression, right through to complex PTSD. Okay. I don't know how many other modalities out there. The guys that were coming to us had tried just about everything that was out there. And for them, they were saying to us, if this doesn't work, we're checking out. We've not lost a single person, not one. There isn't another modality out there that can say the same thing. And because of the way we work, this is why we can guarantee that the changes are permanent. They won't return. Something else might return. Something else might come up. So when you resolve one thing, it's like the layer of an onion. You take off the first layer and the unconscious says, well, great for that. Let's have a look at that one. It's like the crew, the engine room is flooding. And then, so we fix the engine room. Well, now we need to mop up because, it's kind of listing a little bit. Yep. So everything has to be done in its own way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Wow.
What else? Anything else, Barry?
Wow, that was quite in depth. I wasn't expecting that at all. No, that was brilliant. So in fact, you answered all the questions that we had at the beginning there in one hit, and then
one tirade.
And then did a little bit of a demo, which was quite a nice analogy. What I would like to do is just jump over to the landing page, because there's a few things on there that people have asked questions about that's in the upcoming program. And if you wouldn't mind just explaining a couple of them to us, if that's okay, Deb.
100%.
Okay. So I'm going to share screens now, guys. I hope it's okay. So can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we just scroll down. So this is, skip through the various things, but the first one, you've actually explained what NLP is. And thank you, Grant, for asking that question. The representational system, or reps systems, Deb? What's that all about?
So the training is going to comprise of a number of different component parts, because in order to be a transition coach, the language needs to be really clean and clear. You can't do things that are, because we're working with the unconscious, we want to keep everything in its right space. And to be a coach, you need to be able to lead. All right. So there are some things that I'm not going to go through the whole lot, but like Barry said, we'll go through what is a representational system and why would you want to actually know anything about it? We all learn differently. Okay. And you can use this just even with your own family and your own kids. All right. We all learn in different styles. So for me, I'm visually kinesthetic. So my learning way of doing business is to see something and then to touch it. Now we have Kerry on the call. Kerry's representational system is auditory. So when Kerry and I talk, if I just spoke to her in visual terms, she wouldn't know. Well, she does know, but I probably wouldn't connect with her as well as if I spoke to her in an auditory fashion, because her learning style is hearing. So when Kerry tells me something, I actually have to see it. Whereas if I tell Kerry something, she picks it up straight away. Why would that be of any value to you? Because if you're in business or you're with a coach, if you don't speak to that person in a language that they understand, they're not going to get whatever it is that you're trying to teach them or show them, or for them to even learn anything. So when I sit and listen to stuff, I can't comprehend it. And it kind of makes me a little bit like a rabbit in the headlights. In exactly the same way, try and feely touchy tell somebody who is list orientated and statistic orientated how fluffy the clouds are, and they're going to go, this girl's a Fruit Loop. But if I said the clouds are asymmetrical and 14 degrees to the whatever, they go, oh, that's a really nice cloud, I like that cloud. Okay, so that's where rep systems really fit in if you want to engage with another person, which then leads me on. If we go down a little bit, near the bottom, we've got rapport. So that would lead. If you want to build rapport, what is rapport? Rapport is basically where you establish an interaction with the person where the communication is effortless and there's a mutual trust. All right. If you want to build that with, doesn't matter who it is, a friend, a colleague, a new business partner, it doesn't matter who it is. We all have to build rapport. So if you start off by knowing what the learning style is, because we will teach you how to identify that just in a conversation, then you can connect with anyone and you can build these trusting relationships. You know, the age-old know you, like you, trust you starts with a little bit of rapport, because words only make up 7% of your communication. 38% is the tonality. So if I said to you, hi, Grant, how are you? And say, you'll feel good.
You're fine, thank you.
There you go. If I said, hello, Grant, how are you? Might come across a little bit more interesting. So, and then physiology makes up the other 55%. All right. So rapport across the board, whether you're in your personal life or whether it's in your business life, it's what we call a transferable skill. It's not just one that works in the workplace. It works everywhere. So then there's lots. There's neurolinguistic meta modeling. You've got reframing, and as the list goes down. The other one that I'd like to just highlight is calibration. Why would we actually be interested in calibration? There again, it's a transferable skill. Have you ever looked at someone and they've looked really miserable, and you've gone, that person looks really angry. Angry compared to what? We've not been able to calibrate them because we don't know what their happy face is. Okay, so learning calibration stops us mind reading and creating what we think that person is based on our past, because that's what you do. You assess that person. If you don't know them, you assess them based on what you know, what kind of, where you've seen someone angry, or you've had a frame of reference. Well, when somebody so-and-so looked like that, they were angry. But that person might not be angry. That just might be their resting face. You don't know. So we teach calibration on a fine level. What this does, it takes you to a higher level of communication. Okay. And at that point, you notice things that you actually consciously notice things that normally you would unconsciously just notice and you weren't aware of it. Now you're going to be aware of it and take it to the next level. And then you do feedback for motivation, pre-framing, client needs. What does your client need? And transitional coach needs all of that for us then to take you through a really good holistic change work. So we're working back into values, beliefs, and on identity, which will then impact your knowledge, skill. Because if those are clear, you can access the knowledge and the skill, which will then bring up different behaviors, more positive behaviors. If you run in with some negative emotions and you've got some maladaptive behaviors, your results on maladaptive are not going to be as good as when your behaviors come from a more positive. You know what it's like. Somebody cuts up in front of you. If you're in a good mood, you just go, must be late. Oh, blimey, that could have caused an accident. But if you're in a bad mood, I can guarantee you the language coming out of your mouth won't be quite as gentle. This is where our tonality will come back in. Make sense? So that's just part of, we're also going to do some hypnosis on this, which is fun to play with, because you need to be able to go into some form of states for these. But that's basically what transition coaching is about. It's helping other people on a completely different level to what is out there. No coping, no management, and no distraction. And like you were saying, Grant, gaming is a distraction. Drugs are a distraction. Alcohol is a distraction. There's loads of them. Technology is a distraction. Mobile phones. Everybody's sitting on that mobile phone because they're looking for something.
Yeah, Debbie, one of the screen items there is triggers. So I think that triggers are a very important factor, because simply sometimes most of the triggers we have are unconscious or programmed triggers. For people, how they say, how they look at you, and then you react based on automatic triggers. And being cognizant of those triggers, personally, I think is a great asset.
Well, the thing is, to be aware of the triggers is one thing, okay? What do you do? How do you get rid of those triggers? Because if those triggers are negative, there's no reason that they should stay inside. So what we do is we track those triggers back, we get rid of them, so then you can't be triggered by the same thing. So you might see it and you go, well, there you go. It is what it is. And that's what you learn. And that's the things that you will be getting rid of, because everything on transition coaching training is real time. There's no hypotheticals. We don't go, okay, let's imagine a scenario where whatever. Not going to happen. Everything we work with is real time. So while you're on the course, you will naturally go through change, because that's what the course is, and you're going to practice the processes. So you will also get change on the training program, which is great. Then on top of that, this is Barry's bit, so I'm going to throw this back to Barry, because the bonus part of the training is not my forte, it's Barry's. So his 20 years are going to come to the fore here.
Because there's one thing about obviously going on the program and learning new skills. And as you know yourself, Grant, it's all well and good having all this information, but how do you get it out there? How do you get other people to buy into what it is you're selling? So I'm doing a piece on what to sell, where to sell it from, and who to sell it to. Throwing in a sort of selection of skill sets where you can take whatever it is you've learned and then push it out there into the marketing place. So as you know, Grant, I've been around marketing for the best part of 20 odd years and had hugely successful businesses working with other people. We're ploughing all those skill sets into the latest project, obviously you know. But alongside that, obviously, I have my consultancy. So part of this and working with Debbie is providing the coaches themselves, once they've got the skill sets, and how, help them to set up their own business and get out there into the marketplace so they can get a return on their investment. Because investing in yourself is all part of your education. Investing in skill sets and being able to deliver something to other people and help other people. Obviously, having those skills, you've learned something. How can I teach somebody else? What can I get out of it myself? Because it is that whiffing factor. What's in it for me? So in order for you to exploit those new skill sets that you've got, I'm going to give you a set of tools and an ongoing training program that allows you to get out there in the marketplace without taking too much on board in one hit. It's bite-sized chunks with sort of a monthly feed of, right, you've done this, this is the next stage, this next stage, with a little bit of mentoring and coaching alongside it to guide you through it. So that's all part of the process. And then if we look down at the value of all these things put together, and I was working out with Deb as to each of these courses, they were individually priced, what would they come up to? And so Deb was explaining, we've done courses for this, and it's cost this much. It's a 3-day course and it costs X, Y, and Z. And I did a little bit of research from my years of being out there and looking at similar courses that I've come across. And if you add all the things up that Debbie is delivering on that 6-day training, it comes to just over 16 grand. And we thought, well, you can't really actually charge someone £16,000 for a 6-day training. But the reality is, taking £11,000 off, bringing it down to just under £5,000 is very good value for a 6-day training program with a volume of skills that you're actually going to learn and take away that'll help you not only go forward with your own business, but other businesses too. So what we decided to do is, as part of this presentation, the first 10 people, because it's the first time Debbie's actually presented it here in the UK, she's done it all over the rest of the world, in Thailand and Australia and America, and all these people. They're helping everyone from infants through to soldiers with PTSD. We figured, well, for the first 10 people here in the UK, we'll add a further discount, bringing it down to 3,997. But again, it's going to be the first 10 people that register. So that just gives you an overview of the volume of stuff you're going to get, the total value, and the sort of discount you can get. But again, it is a case of, before you can sign up for it, there is going to be a pre-qualification, and that is a conversation with Debbie as to whether or not it fits in what you want to do, and will it help you? Because obviously, and thank you, Grant, for doing that little bit of a role play there and just, finding out a little bit more of how it works. There might be a coaching session that you might need on a personal level. So you might not need the course itself to understand and take it forward, but you actually might need some coaching. But it is a case of, until Debbie's had a conversation with you, it is a case of just working out what it is that you want, how it fits in your lifestyle. Is it something you want to do? Is it something that sounds great, but doesn't quite fit in your forward projections of where you're going to be? But again, it all starts with a simple phone call. And during this session, hopefully Debbie's got a contact email ready to post in the chat that you could reach out, or even a private message to whomever is interested, and put a phone number in there so Debbie can contact you, and then we can take it forward. But all the information is on this site. And if you were to go onto it, you click on get more info here, all being well, that should take you through to another page. There it goes. And yeah, there's my lovely locks there. And it's just a case of putting some information in there, and we'll get straight back to you and book in a call at a convenient time and then have a chat. Okay, so I hope that all that makes sense. So I'm just going to come off screen sharing and then put this URL in the chat there. So if you want to take it forward, you can. To everyone. And Deb, if you wouldn't mind putting your email in there, just in case anyone wants to reach out to you personally.
Done.
Excellent, excellent. Any other questions at this stage?
Yeah, anybody read any Eckhart Tolle?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you read any Eckhart Tolle? T-O-L-L-E?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, Eckhart's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, there's loads of those.
Oh yeah.
It's good to do reading. You've got to also remember that all of that stuff, this is why we work with business coaches, because reading that stuff, your financial blueprint was created before you were 7 years old. And you created all of these things around you based on those that were around you. So your relationships were created, your blueprints were created. So I love some of Eckhart's books, and he is one that talks about mindset. which is absolutely brilliant. If your mindset does not support moving forward, you can't move forward.
No,
so
no,
one of the analogies that we was talking about is, so as a bit of a question. So if I said to you, Grant, I will pay you, I don't know, $3,000 to work 160 hours a month, blimey.
Yeah.
Would that be so? Freaking hell. How what would you say? Would you be all right with that?
Probably not.
Okay. So
No.
if I said to you, how much would you work for 160 hours a month? What would you be comfortable being paid for that?
I probably I'm not trying to be silly or facetious, but I would probably say honestly that it isn't really a matter of an amount. I've got my own priorities that I've wanted to maintain, go paperless, and a few other things that I'm involved in, and I'm really willing to. I would focus on those because I'm committed to those mentally and physically. So I would, and it isn't about the money.
I'm just looking at, what would you be prepared to work? What amount would suit you if you were going to work? Give us an amount.
Treat it as a hypothetical thing, Grant.
It's a hypothetical thing.
Okay, $10,000.
Hypothetically, if you were going to work and I said to you, I'm going to pay you, how much a month would you settle for?
$10,000.
Okay, so therefore you've answered the first half of the question. If I said to you then, if I even pay you $5,000 for those 160 hours, what would your answer be?
Well, I would probably say, well, renegotiating.
Exactly. And that's my whole point. And here's the next question. Do you think that Richard Branson would get out of bed for £10,000 a month?
I don't know who he is. So
Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson.
Oh, Virgin. Okay. Yeah, I know. I didn't know the name. I suspect not. No.
And there you go. So how this works, the reason I'm pulling these about is with your financial, we're just talking financial blueprint now, okay? Yeah. And working with maybe a business coach. If your financial blueprint is set even at 10,000, if you made more, your unconscious would bring it back to 10. If you made less, your unconscious would bring it back to 10, because that's where you earn. Somebody who's happy to work for $1,000 for those hours, if you gave them £1 million, within a year it would be gone, because their blueprint is sitting at £1,000 pounds. So every one of us. So transition coaching can take you. You've learned that. It's learned behavior. So what we now do is we go in and we find out where it started, get rid of that, so that the blueprint you want today, you can have. It's not based in the past. We get rid of it from the past in order for you to move to the future. And that's the reason for that analogy.
I got it. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know if we were talking hypothetically or not. I thought you were giving me an example relating to who I was and what I was doing.
Grant, I know you got your own business. I'm not going to employ you in the nicest possible way.
Okay.
I'd leave you to develop the business the way you want, but I'd help you get your financial position to where you wanted to if it was being held back.
I don't know if I'm being held back, but the poverty consciousness is really another term for what we talked about, which you're discussing now. It's concepts about deserving and whatever we went through as children and our lives, and whether we've addressed it. But we can all change. I mean, the point of change is now. The point of power to change is now. Whether it be where you're 50 years old or 40 years old or 60 years old. And I believe very much in the point of change is now. So we have to recognize what we have to change, and then basically we can make a complete shift. I believe this at one moment, now I believe this. That's what I've actually practiced those concepts and been effective with those over the last many years. That's why I'm a perfect specimen that you're looking in front of you right now.
The perfect specimen for Grant for the time being. Give us 10 minutes.
Yeah, give us 10
minutes.
It won't be perfect. I will be hammered after 10.
Not on this call. That's That's a private 10 minutes.
Yeah, it is. Okay, darling.
So anything else?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Everything you need
all
is
good.
in shape.
So, fantastic. Okay, then. Well, on that case, I'm going to stop recording now. And Debbie, is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
Nope. I look forward to seeing you on the 29th.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you, everybody, and catch up with you soon.